Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been in business for 13 years and we've been involved with quality for 40 plus years, background being aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every industry on the sun. Today, this with a heartfelt disgust, not for them, but for the products that they may be flying around, is for Air India. Air India. This video today is about QA expert Daryl Guberman alerts Air India and passengers about Boeing being FAA regulator from 2009 to the present. Yes, I know that's going to surprise you, but we have all pertinent documentation. We've been working many years in the aerospace as a consultant and all the rest of that mess. And I'm going to tell you this. Thomas Paine said this: "When speaking the truth, it is many times like administering a medication to the dead." You have A.A. Milne, who made the children's book Winnie the Pooh, who stated, "It is easier to believe a lie that one has heard 1,000 times than to believe a fact no one has heard before." And the last one, and one of the best ones that we've just discovered, is from David Foster Wallace, who said, "The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you." So we continue on. If you want to know deeply about my background, composites, plastics, non-ferrous metal, aluminum, titanium alloys, please contact me at 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS@yahoo.com. We're going to try to briefly go through this. I'm taking 40 years of disgust in the quality arena done by American National Standards Institute and the American National Crediting Board, and trying to siphon it down so that you can understand this, because they're colluding with Boeing, as a matter of fact. And you're going to see it. That's why we have Boeing and exposing it, because if you're flying from 2002 to present, you have quality issues. We just heard and actually read in the Wall Street Journal where this rejections and quality defects have been going out the door rather than being caught beforehand in the Wall Street Journal. And here it is. ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental entity that has both corporations and federal agencies on board, and they have been in business for over 100 years. In 2015, Randy Doherty, then the Vice President, chairman of the IAF, and also principal in the IAF tax firm, he had full control over it. He handed over leadership to this communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who's been involved with our quality for 30 years, since 1994. At the time, he was also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. We move over here, you can see him in 2017 in no other than the laboratory at Wuhan, China, the one that released the COVID virus. The reason why I say the one that released it, Pamela Sale, their Vice President of Quality for Certification in Laboratory, ANSI, ANAB, and ASCLD, which ANSI, ANAB owns, and they sit on ANSI board and all the rest of this mess over by people in the federal government that they certify through A2LA and ASCLD, etc., and ANAB. But anyway, getting back to this, Pamela Sale said under deposition in Texas that from one laboratory to another, there are variances and they lack protocols. So she basically confessed to the release of the COVID virus. ANAP sits on ANSI's board. In 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAP, and they sat between 2015 and 2021 on the communist leaders' IAF, incorporated in Delaware. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the IAF. The International Accreditation Forum is incorporated in Delaware. It is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies. ANSI and ANAB are underwriters for the IAF in Delaware, and also ILAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation, in Australia. We have government contracts that call out ANSI, ANAB specifically for the State Department and all that, that state that ANSI, ANAB are underwriters for the IAF, which means that they take on legal responsibility for any nightmares that happen in the system. Thus, we look at Boeing, we'll continue on. What makes this matter bad, I would say, and I don't say this about the people of these countries, I say this about the politicians, is you have sitting over by ANSI, ANAB, you have also Pakistan, who harbored Osama bin Laden. You have the guy in Khomeini, I guess his name is, in Iran, who says death to America, and they are supporting financially Hamas. So can we say this close alliance here on the IAF between ANSI, ANAP, and Iran and Pakistan, who are equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. Now listen to it, that's going to be coming up in Boeing Supplier Portal. Internationally equivalent. You will hear about it. So they are equivalent to ANSI ANAB. They sit by ANSI ANAB on the IF. They're financing Hamas. So any of you who have an ANAB accredited certification we don't want to get into, do you condone that? Maybe he does. But anyway, we're here with David Calhoun. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you. David Calhoun is a CEO who's been involved with Boeing since 2009 when the FAA went in and gave special authority and self-certification privileges to Boeing on all their aircrafts. No wonder why 777, 787 have quality issues as well. You also have this gentleman. I thank you for your service. Mr. Kirkland Donald, or Donald E. Kirkland. He is part of the comprehensive quality review for the 737. I think all he knows about is putting bombs on the bottom of the wings of planes. I think, if I remember his background, because we did some research on him once he was chosen. Sitting on ANSI's board are 7 different registrars. One of them, as a matter of fact, certifies Spirit Aerosystems. They are ANAB accredited. They use the ANAB logo. Is there any oversight? No, there is not. And you could tell by all the quality issues. No oversight whatsoever. In fact, if you look deep into TUV-SUD, they were involved with the Holocaust. And I, as a proud American, a proud Jewish American leader, American Jewish leader, whichever, I don't want to offend anybody, whatever you're going to do. TUV was involved with the Holocaust. We have a booklet that we made, okay, concerning that, where they have commandant's letters saying, we need the 40 more vessels for the carbon monoxide, because they were certifying the pressure vessels that the carbon monoxide was going into. Let them come after me, because court. Maybe I'll get a better court hearing out there in Europe. But now we have Boeing. Boeing. In 2002, Boeing put out a supplier notification that stated that if you are AS9100 certified from ANSI ANAB, you can just send us your certificate, send us the part, we'll put it on the plane. So for 22 years, Boeing has been leaving the inspection. Rather than sending out source inspectors to look at the facilities, they just accept a certification from what this notification says, and they just accept the certificate and they accept the part and put it on a plane for 22 years. I just read in the Wall Street Journal where they said that these issues with quality have been going out for decades. Well, starting in 2002. You also have this. I'm only going to read the first sentence. This is going to be in the description so you can have all the data. If you want more information, please do not hesitate to contact me, 203-556-1493, or Daryl, Daryl, TQRS at yahoo.com. The first sentence states, the FAA increased the authority of Boeing's commercial airlines or airplanes division to self-certify its own aircraft. So basically what they did, ladies and gentlemen, let me just break this down for you, because self-certify, you're listening to these words. Self-certify means this. The FAA went into Boeing and gave them FAA privileges. So they are equivalent to the FAA. They're equivalent to the authority that is supposed to watch over them. So there is no authority. When the FAA comes in, and you will hear, okay, and I have this, let me play for you, okay, right now, what Mr. Calhoun said in an interview after the Alaskan Air issue, okay? I want you to listen to this.
Speculate, but I will say this, the work that our regulator, in this case the FAA, has been doing to inspect the situation and create a procedure and a protocol for the airlines to go out and inspect each and every one of the airplanes, 100% of them, and make certain that the work that our regulator, in this case the FAA,
the work of the regulator. In 2009, as you can hear, and let me read this to you again so it's, you have it. The FAA increased the authority of Boeing's commercial airlines division to self-certify its own aircraft. Self-certify, that means they gave authority, basically like this. Let me even break it down further. They can design the aircraft, they can build it, they can fly it, and they can sign it off. And along the process, they just signing off the inspection of the front fuselage, inspection of the wings, inspection of the engines, anything that's put on there. Boeing did it. So Indian Air, open up your eyes. From 2002 to present, you have to go back to Boeing and say, what the hell is going on here? And I will show you this. You have Boeing that sits on ANSI's board, right over by their accreditation body that you're going to see in their supplier portal, that they call out and only call out for their accreditation body. They also say internationally equivalent, which I showed you, could be Iran or Pakistan. And I say this not about the people, but it's about the politicians, like everywhere. This is an issue, Air India, an issue. To make matters and give me credence and credibility here is the actual several articles that show you and illustrate that Boeing skipped quality process, fudged documentation. They sit on ANSI's board right over by their accreditation body. And their auditors, what did they find? Nothing? Well, you gotta be kidding me. To make matters worse, several weeks ago, you had an V-22 Osprey, a Bell Boeing product, crash. Okay? And they also got caught in their Bell Boeing composite facility that they were not writing down proper, temperatures and times and pressures, which is very imperative in the manufacture of composite material. Now, I am a composite person. What that means is this. By the way, that was from 2007 to 2018 for 11 years. Where was the inspectors? They gave authority to, that's military too. So I guess when Boeing waved their magic wand for commercial airlines, that also went over to military. The problem with composites is that they are basically, we used to call them rags and glue, fiberglass, let's say, impregnated with a resin on top of each other, layers and layers. And once you put them under time and temperature and pressure, you will have an integral part. If you have interstitial bubbles, that's bubbles between the fabric, between the fibers that didn't cure properly and or didn't have proper pressure, the vibratory stresses of the V-22 or helicopter or airplane will cause it to separate and disbond. On top of it, their regulator. There's the FAA sitting on ANSI's board, right over by the accreditation body, and right over by Boeing, no less. And we heard most recently that the Department of Transportation, or actually the National Transportation Safety Board, which is part of the Department of Transportation, and the FAA, are looking over procedures of Boeing, who is an FAA regulator. But we look and we found out the DOT is part of this problem. I'm going to leave it here. This again is about QA expert Daryl Guberman. Alerts Air India and passengers about Boeing being FAA regulator from 2009 to present. My telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, D-A-R-Y-L, TQRS at yahoo.com. And the reason why I do this is because when you have a family member, you may not know me, you don't know me, I believe in integrity. I live by it. The way my parents brought me up, integrity, honesty, and the truth. These guys back here, do they know about the truth? You know something? We don't know. David Calhoun makes $1.5 million base, and the other $20 million is in different stock options and all the rest of that. That has nothing to do with this, but he's paid to be a punching bag. That type of money is being paid to be a punching bag. Does he know anything about aerospace like Mr. Donald Kirkland? I handed in my resume because they need SEAL Team 6 in there to take care of this issue. Because if they don't get Daryl Guberman there with his team, and we do have a team, we've been having a team for a long time, a troubleshooting team, and they need it to stop the escapes. I guarantee we can stop the escapes between 6 months and 12-month time period, as long as we're giving authority to run the business right in quality, and they need it. I look forward to hearing from you, 203-556-1493. Thank you.